Hello everyone to the Friday afternoon live. I'll wait a couple of moments to see if anyone wants to actually join me doing this practice live. If you are joining live, then a couple of quite sort of firm, sturdy cushions would come in handy. If you haven't got sort of firm ones or like a roll like this one, you can also maybe just use 3 or 4 fluffier ones. That's also fine, but just get a few cushions ready. That will be possibly helpful. You might want to sit on them at some point anyway, but also use them to roll over it. Yeah, hello. You're really far. I've set up the camera so far I can't actually quite see who's joining. I think it's Charlie. Hi, Charlie. Nice to see you. Okay, so I think we'll get started, and obviously we'll stay here anyway, and you can always go back to this. I thought a sort of self-massage, self-care practice might be a really nice thing, for ourselves, because it feels nice, and we do as practitioners and teachers need to take care of ourselves. And it might also be something that you would like to share with others, with your students, with your clients, maybe especially, depending on where you are and what the lockdown situation is, if you can't actually see your clients at the moment. So you might even want to organize like a slightly different package where you are teaching them a self-massage, for example. So that's up to you. But also for now, like right now, it's really, if you want to stay here for the duration, it's for you to enjoy. So join me. For the first one, I'm actually going to stand up, which means my head's going to disappear out of the picture, but it doesn't really matter because it's to do with the feet. So we're going to come up to standing. If you want to hold on to something for this one, then do. I'm just going to use the wall here or a chair or something. Doesn't matter. And then we're going to place the heel of one foot on top of the joint of the big toe. So when I say joint, I don't mean like the sort of front joint, but I mean really like at the base of the toe, where the big toe starts. So I'm kind of really almost like in the ball of the foot, but just on the big toe from above. My standing leg, the heel stays down. I'm standing comfortably here. But then just like we do in Thai massage, I'm just shifting from my center, my weight forwards to give my weight down through that big toe joint. That might feel quite strong for you. So, you're in control here, so you need to adjust the amount of weight that you give down. I quite like to give quite a bit of weight here, making myself heavy. But you can also keep this really light. And we're going in and out, of course. So we go in very slowly, sinking our body weight. There's no pushing with this leg. It's literally just shifting my weight into it. And then slowly, just as slowly, also coming out again. Now, those of you who know me will have done lengthy foot massages. I'm not going to do any of that today because you already know it. You've done it with me many, many, many times. So this is just another little alternative. Now we're going to move along. I'm wearing the wrong pants, clearly. To the second toe. So I'm placing the heel of my top foot onto the joint of the second toe. So again, it's not really at the front of the toe, squashing the toe. I'm really right at the kind of base joint of it. And same thing, I'm shifting my weight into it. You can decide how much weight you give into that. Just going to see if my trousers stay up. And then we step along to the third one. So, I mean, obviously, those joints are kind of tiny and the heel is quite big, but the center of the heel where the main weight is going down is aiming for that joint. And you can actually really, once you put the pressure down on it, you really feel, yeah, I'm really just on that one joint. And then to the fourth one, you might even find as you're going along that the toes feel quite different with this pressure. Some of them will go, oh, that's, you know, no big deal. And then the next one is like, okay, interesting. So that's all within the range of normal. Don't worry. And then let's do the fifth one, last one. Just one more time. Great. And let's just stand on both feet for a moment and observe what that feels like. And I'd ask you to observe a little bit how that is radiating up through the whole side of that body that you massaged in relation to the knee, the hip. I mean, obviously here I'm going to have to second guess, or I'll just describe what it feels like for me. For me, it feels a bit like the knee doesn't even quite exist, like there is no weight on that knee. And actually there is not really any weight on that hip either. It just feels like this whole side is lighter. Literally, I'm more supported, but at the same time also much lighter on that side. There's just no heavy kind of collapsing in the joints and the whole side of the body. And then we can do the other side. Otherwise we'll end up just walking around in a circle all day. So we find the mount of the big toe and shift our weight. Slowly in and out. And as per usual, left and right may well not be the same story. Hardly ever is. So on this side, for me, doesn't feel like more painful or sensitive. Actually, it feels a little bit more rigid somehow, what I'm stepping into, like I'm stepping on a brick rather than quite a buoyant foot. I mean, on a brick, not quite, no. But somehow it just feels a little bit more blocked on this side. So we move along to the second one, second toe. I haven't done this one for a really, really long time. And I remembered it because, of course, not this weekend, but next weekend, we're going to have a Thai massage workshop working with the feet, right? Obviously not on ourselves on that one. But yeah, so it just kind of reminded me of this little move here. I thought I'll share it. And then the fourth one. And the last one. We can just do a little check-in again, just standing on 2 feet, see what that feels like, the support from the feet up through the joints to the hips, into your whole posture, your verticality. And then we can come to sit down. Hello, I'm back here. So feel free, to adjust and sit on cushions or whatever you might need. So I'm just going to take one leg in front with the foot on the floor, and then really loose wrists. I'm kind of knocking here on either side of my shin, going up and down. And those of you who've received like a classic foot massage in Thailand, you'll be familiar in how they're knocking up and down your legs. Couple more. Great, and with a bent knee here, I can, with my thumbs, so I just grab my knee and with my thumbs circle and massage around the patella. Circling, especially here around the side of the knee. And then I let that leg come down and I lean away, so I'm kind of a little bit more relaxed probably in this hip. And I take my hand on top of the thigh muscle here and kind of rub it, but I'm not sliding across. I kind of sort of take the muscle and wobble it. That's it. And we can go up and down the leg with that. You could actually also do that with 2 hands if you wanted to. It's quite vigorous. And then here we take the ropey muscle, our adductors, and squeeze them a little bit. Leaning away from this really helps. So in fact, I'm just kind of resting with my arm here. Okay. I'll do those few moves on the other side. Always nice to have a little quick compare between the two. So bending this leg and we knock up and down. For me, it feels more sensitive on this side, so I'm just going to be a little bit more gentle. Really loose fists, no loose wrists here. Last one. I didn't really count on the other side, but just a felt amount of same attention. Just holding on to the knee here, and then my thumbs are kind of just circling around, and the knee feels odd, right? I mean, it's quite a complex structure somehow, and we've got the patella. I'm just kind of massaging all around that and just try to dig in there a little bit. And then I send the leg away, I lean away from it and take the muscle right on top of the thigh here and wobble it quite vigorously, and we can go up and down with that. Microphone falling off. Not so good. Carry on going. Put it more to the front. Good, and then we can also, again, leaning away from it, squeeze a little bit along the adductor muscle here, the ropey bit. Little check in, how does that feel? How are the legs doing? Nice. Let's come and lie down on our back. And we'll have the knees bent. Feel free to place something under your head if you want. So just making sure that you're comfortable. And then I pick up the side of the pelvis and slide my flat hand underneath it. And then let the pelvis come and rest on top of that. So you want to kind of place the hand exactly where it's the heaviest, so your hand feels like it's being squashed a little bit. And then we're going to pick this leg up, and then it gets really quite heavy on the hand. And you might notice how that's already a little interesting. you feel it. If you're kind of going, yeah, I don't know, it's not really doing so much, then maybe the hand needs to go into a slightly different position. So feel free to just adjust that a little bit. And then we're going to start moving the leg. It can be gentle, like I'm doing now. It could involve straightening the leg and moving the leg. It could be that you're really taking it out to the side, which actually means you could roll your whole weight on top of the hand and you're rolling onto your wrist almost with that. And it can go away any way, really, any way you like. You move that leg to create the massage here around your SI joint, around your glutes, your piriformis, depending a little bit on where your hand is. And you are in control to make this as torturous as you enjoy. And if it's really too strong, keep it small, you know, that's really good. Keeping it really subtle here. So you are again in control on how big you want to make this movement and how intense you want this massage to be. On this side I really feel it somewhere around here, so I'm hanging out a little bit. That's also always an option. And then we can slowly bring this back and lift the side of the pelvis up, place the pelvis down, place the foot down, and just rest here for a moment. Observe how does that feel? Left side, right side. And then we can do the same on the other side. So I'm just literally rolling a little bit to the side to lift the pelvis up and slide my hand under, put my pelvis, my weight back down, and then picking up the knee. And always good to take a moment to really figure out if the hand is just in that right spot, and you'll feel it. I don't have to tell you the exact measurement of this. Just explore that a little bit. It'll feel, like I said, interesting if you're in the right spot. So most of us carry quite a bit of tension in all of those tissues, in the ligaments, stabilizing the sacrum and the sacroiliac joints, as well as also in the buttocks muscles, for sure. And all of that can lead to quite a bit of discomfort in the lower back in particular. So freeing this up can make a nice difference. Freestyle, you are in charge how intense you want this to be. If you're rolling right on top or keeping it a little bit more gentle. Remember, you can also straighten the leg in this whole movement. Good, just a little more. Great. And then we let that go, so we slowly release the hand out from underneath. Placing the foot down, taking a moment, letting the pelvis really settle on the ground. Observe a little bit, how does that feel? Any different? Maybe in the quality, the way that the pelvis can rest here. And then this one, we can also do, I know we've already done the legs, but we'll go back to the legs here. So in this position, it's probably available here to place the calf all the way down to the back of the Achilles, down onto the knee. And so as you just kind of rest that down, the knee is quite pokey here, and you might already feel like, oh, okay, that's quite interesting. And then you could make this quite a vigorous massage here of the calf muscle by pushing actually a little bit down with the lower leg and going all the way down and up the back of the calf here. So I'm moving this along a little bit. It's a little bit awkward, but it's a really nice way to get into those calf muscles. And if you find a spot, I've just found one here, La la, and you want to stay a little bit, then keep going there. Oh, yeah, yeah. And let's take a little break there. Placing the leg back down. Observe for a moment. How does that feel? And then obviously we have to do that on the other side. So you can also just poke. You don't even have to do all of the rubbing. So you can place and press down. So well, you can also just leave the weight, or you can press. So that's up to you. I quite like sort of digging a little bit in there and like rubbing it. And even though that feels a bit odd, but then sometimes I just find that spot, and on this side it's really quite a different spot, but I found one here also, and I'm staying here and working that a little bit. It's quite strong. Great. And then letting that rest on the ground. Observe that for a moment, and then we can turn via our sides and come back up. And if you have your cushions handy, we'll place them here to the side of us. So I've made quite a bit of a mountain here. You could use a bolster if you had a bolster at home. I don't actually have a bolster at home. What did I do with my hair? Okay. And so alternatively, you can use a whole bunch of cushions, but you want to get a little bit of height. Plus, you're going to have a choice where you're going to put that pressure. So you could rest over it a little bit higher up under your armpit, or you can go a little bit more into your ribs. I'm going to go a little bit more into my ribs. So I've placed them relatively close to me, and I'm just going to melt over. And it might be that only once you're here, and you can play with that after as well, that once you're here you kind of really notice what might be helpful or not. If you are placing this over the ribs and you feel like your head really needs to have support, obviously you can either use your arm, or you can place another cushion here, or if it's comfortable enough, there's actually something really quite good at releasing the neck muscles this way and letting the head come all the way down and let it rest on the floor. If that's available, go for that. That's a really good option. And then you can even stay here and just let the kind of body melt into this. But I actually also like to roll this a little bit. And it's really quite freestyle. So you need to make sure that you're placing yourself in such a way that your shoulder is happy enough, your arm is happy enough, and your neck is happy enough. And then you can either stay still, and this will be very much somewhere between a yin yoga pose and a restorative yoga pose, where we're using these kind of bolster props to melt into the tissues, or the tissues to melt over the support, maybe that way around. And because we are doing this a little bit more active in a way, because this is a self-massage, I'm adding this rolling into it, but that's optional. This is as such not that intense unless you really carry quite a bit of tension there. I don't think the actual massage effect as such is as strong, like as, for example, we're digging into our calf muscles. That's quite painful. However, we'll feel the difference here when we come out, I'm quite sure. Again, if you feel like there is a spot where it really feels like you want to melt a little bit more, then you can hang out and pause also for a moment and then pick it up again. You could stay here for much longer if you repeat this. For now, let's slowly, by just tucking the knees and by the legs in here, push ourselves up and then come onto maybe your knees for a moment to observe how does that feel, left side, right side. I'm going to check my microphone is actually still somewhere with me. So that feels quite different on that side. So let's balance that out and repeat on the other side. Again, you can really choose where you feel it could serve you, and it doesn't actually really need to be exactly the same spot on the other side. So I think I'm just going to try on this side to place it a little bit higher, more kind of armpit, scapular kind of level. So for that, I need to place my arm up. And then we roll here. Or again, you can also stay still. Up to you. Again, if you can leave your head really as heavy as possible and just let it roll, even though it might just sort of hang down a bit awkwardly, that's fine. The spine is able to go into that side bend quite happily. And actually letting the head go with this will be also a nice release in the neck. So the more you can let that rest, the better. Because if you actually hold the head and control it, there's a whole bunch of engagement of muscles required to do that. So we want to achieve the opposite, right? See if you can really let the head go. That's kind of part of the effect of this practice here over the cushion. And do a couple more rolls. And then coming back to the center, pushing yourself up with your hand in front. And then let's come back to sitting on our heels. So here we can have a little check in. How does that feel? Now, I'm quite a fan of kneeling in a way that's actually just sorting out my trouser legs. This is a nice way to open through the feet and to come into this full flexion in the knees. If it's challenging, use your cushion. So you could place something between your sit bones and your heels. You could even build a little tower here and sit on that so the pressure on the feet is not so high. Go ahead and sit on a chair instead if that would just be much better. If you want to sit cross-legged, you also could do that. I'm just going to place this here for a little bit more comfort. Yeah, that's kind of nice. Great. I'm going to come here to the shoulders with fingers 3 and 4 being most active. The others can join, but those are the strong ones. I'm going to hook here around the top of the trapezius, very close to the neck. So I'm not out here, I'm really close to the neck and I'm hooking those fingers around the top of the trapezius and I'm pulling that forwards and then letting this arm hang. I circle the shoulder backwards into that pull. So by circling the shoulder back into the pull, that's making the pull a bit stronger. So we can do that once more. Those fingers hooking need to be a little strong here. And then I can take the fingers just a couple of, or like one step out, so into the middle of the shoulder, and I do 2 more. Really having to pull forwards here with those fingers and then rolling the shoulder back into that pull. And then the third position going all the way out to the outside of the shoulder. And even just doing a couple of rounds in each spot will make already really quite a difference. And then we reverse the whole thing. I'm going to find here the collarbone, and again, fingers 3 and 4. Place them just below the collarbone next to the sternum. So there is a little hollow space. And then as I push that in, I roll my shoulder forwards into the pressure this time. You are in control here on how much you push with those fingers. You can work quite gently or you can go for it. Then we step those fingers out a little bit. So now we're just in the middle, below the collarbone. And again, rolling forwards. And the last step, a little bit out even further. So you're really here almost at the top of the humerus. Good, and then we just let that hang for a moment and observe how does that feel. Chances are the arm, the shoulder where we worked is kind of a little bit longer. This is a bit more obvious if you're doing it standing up, then you can really feel how this shoulder has just come down, the arm has come down. So let's try the same thing on the other side. So we hook strong fingers 3 and 4 very near the neck to begin with and pull forwards. And then we roll the shoulder backwards. Keep pulling forwards and the shoulder rolls into the pull. We step a little bit out to the middle of the shoulder. A couple more. Now we already know where we're going with this, so we can step through it a little bit more and then to the outer edge of the shoulder. And then we work below the collarbone. We go in just next to the sternum. Push in and roll the shoulder forwards into the pressure. You might have a little bit of grinding and cracking possibly happening here. That's not a problem. And then we step into the middle of the collarbone just below. Circling into the pressure. And then last step out very near the shoulder here. And then we release that and let that hang for a moment. Observe. If you were kind of like going for the kneeling position, but actually it's not ending up to be that good for you, change your position anytime you like. Come to sit on a chair, change to cross-legged. That's all good. So I'm going to take one hand around the back of the neck and really like cup the full hand around the back of the neck. And you see I'm turning my head away from that a little bit, which makes access much easier, especially if maybe there is something happening in the shoulder for you. And then with that full cupped hand, I pull forward. So it's actually really that elbow that's pulling forwards. And as that pulls forwards, I'm turning my head into that pull. So we are wringing out those neck muscles, and then we can repeat that a few times. And then the other side. Full hand goes around the back of the neck. I pull forwards and turn my head into the pull. So yes, my hand is obviously sliding over the skin a little bit, but actually I want to grab as much muscle and take it with me as possible. So it's not that slidey really. It's really grabbing those neck muscles and pulling on them and turning and twisting them as I turn my head into the pull. And then we can release that. feel for a moment what that's like. I quite like doing this one. I'm going to change position for the next one, and I might just sit on both my cushions here. I'm bringing my knees out in front, and this one you could also do quite nicely sitting at a table maybe. So I'm going to cup my hands this time quite gently. You can do it without leaning and supporting. You could actually just do it sitting up, that's fine, but in case your arms find that a little bit uncomfortable, you can find a way to rest more here. And here the hands are really like gentle. You want to have your hands around the side of the neck as soft as they can be. Really like a skin to skin touch. Super soft, but full at the same time. So you're kind of melting into the tissues here. And then we can lean. This is a leaning the neck into one hand. So I'm going to my left first. I'm leaning my neck into the hand. So it's not pushing it. It's really like giving the weight of the neck into the hand, melting into the hand. Really soft. And then we slowly take that over to the other side. And it's really not so much the head leaning, it's the neck itself leaning. So see if you can switch a little bit that awareness. Don't just let the head flop over. It's not the head. It's the neck that's leaning into the hand. It feels different. And coming back to the center. And for the next one, it doesn't work so much if you're leaning forward. So I'm just coming up and I let my neck, not my head, my neck lean back into my fingertips. So I'm going a little bit back and my fingertips just support that. It's the neck that's leaning. Just the neck. And then coming back, and then I can even let the neck, not the head, but the neck lean forwards into the heels of the hands. Slowly coming back. And then we take the hands away and observe that feeling now. Whew, that feels amazing. It feels like my neck is so free and open and about, I don't know, as long as a giraffe. That feels wonderful. So that's a really nice way to release that neck tension. And especially nowadays, I think we have a lot of neck tension, stress, anxiety, more screen time, all that sort of stuff. We'll finish up with a couple of things up here. So just at the kind of base where the earlobes start, so just at that kind of little nook, you have just in front, you have the joint of the jaw, and we're going to press into that gently. So we have options either with the pads of the just one finger, and you actually press like slowly and gently, like holding it, or you can also use a couple of fingers and circle. So there you're spreading the pressure. It's not so pointed, which means that possibly you pressing a little bit more as it's spread out. And we can circle here. Maybe open your mouth, relax the joint a little bit. Or maybe you start circling and then you quieten that down and find again like an interesting spot where you are staying for a little moment. And this pressure is not very pushy. It's deep, but it's kind of like you want to melt into the joint. So even though you're holding pressure, see if you can relax the tension in your fingers. And then we release that slowly. If you really melt it in there, it takes some time to come out. And then another spot, a nice acupressure point, and that relates to your sinuses. We can again find steady pressure and just go in right next to the wings of the nose. You might even find that's interesting as well. Or you can circle that with softer pressure. You've got some choices here. You can use your middle finger or index finger, both is fine. And we release that and we just take a couple of breaths, take a little break to feel what that's like. Jaw, sinuses, spaces. A nice one for any kind of headaches is to take your thumb up just on the inside of the eye socket here. So I'm gently placing my thumbs just below the eye sockets, and then we press up towards the ceiling. And that can be strong, especially if you might have a headache or are sensitive to headaches. But it also feels a bit like it's the sort of pain that's just better than the headache itself, because it might just release something. You can go in and out or hold it as you wish. And then slowly release that. Observe what that feels like. And then to finish up the area here at the top, we're going to take our earlobes, left and right at the same time, and pull down on them. See, we can, the slower you go, the further you can pull them. I'm pulling them really down. Like I want to make my ears a bit longer. Open your mouth, relax the jaw, and go a couple of times down. And then I take the ears from behind and pull back to the wall behind me. And then up to the ceiling. Open your mouth, relax the jaw. And release, take a breath. How does that feel? So a little bit different to maybe receiving or giving a massage where we just want to completely zone out and relax. I actually want to finish in a way that gives us a little bit of an energy boost and brings us right back. Feet out in front, and I'm starting with soft hands patting around my lower back into the kidney area. And then I come down the side and outside of the legs. And we come up on the inside of the legs, up to the groins, the belly. And then second round, the lower back, out the side of the legs. And up on the inside of the legs. And then up to the front of the chest here. And we can lift the arm and go around the side of the ribs. Yeah, I really like to give it a bit of oomph. And then down the inside of the arm to the palm of the hand and up on the outside of the arm to the shoulder. Down on the inside of the arm to the palm of the hand, up on the outside to the shoulder. Can support the elbow here, and then over to the other side. We can hear the front of the chest, lung, and then up, rib cage, diaphragm, and down the arm to the palm of the hand, up on the outside, down on the inside, and up on the outside. And we can support here, hook the arm to stay a bit on the shoulder, and then very soft, just like a sort of patch, 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 up the throat, onto the face, over the forehead, the top of the head, round to the back of the head, back of the neck. And a second round here. Patch, 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 very soft. Over the head, back of the head, back of the neck. And then just brush it all off. Feel free to let that vibrate and resonate for a moment in whichever way you want to sit. Taking a couple of deep breaths. So a nice treatment. We didn't do so much here for the hands themselves, but obviously we worked with the hands quite a lot. And so we really energized the hands as well. You're probably quite aware of your hands because we used them so much during the whole self-massage. If you actually suffering from quite a bit of tension in your wrists or anywhere in your arms, then do go ahead and obviously massage also the arms and the wrists. One thing I'll just show you as a little add-on that I like doing is holding the two bones of the lower arm as still as possible, so I've got quite a good grip, and then I try to circle the hand, which is quite restricted because I'm trying to hold those two bones still, and you would do that in both directions for a little while. So that would be maybe something to focus on. Free this up as a little add-on. So I don't know about you, but I enjoyed that. That was nice. I feel quite energized actually, ready for the rest of the day. I wish you a wonderful weekend. If you want to join me tomorrow for some yoga, there's still some spaces available. It's a 2-hour yoga workshop. Focus is on yielding, giving into the earth, using our structure to rest through for effortless movement to develop from there. And it's on a pay what you can basis. So, well, not quite actually, in fairness. You do have to pay €10 as your sort of down payment to say, yes, I'm coming. So there's a little bit of commitment on both sides. But then at the end of the workshop, you decide if and how much you want to pay more. But that's at the end of the workshop, and it's up to you. And if you don't want to pay any more, then that's also absolutely fine. If you can and want to, then that's also a way of paying forward, in a way, enabling others to maybe do it for less payment, and one day maybe you'll be grateful that somebody else paid forwards, and you can do a workshop for less. So that's kind of the idea. Anyway, that's tomorrow at 11, so feel free to drop me a line if you want to join me. Otherwise, enjoy your weekend. All the best, lots of love, and I'll see you again next week, I hope. Take care.